الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We begin by praising Allah the Exalted, and may His unlimited peace and blessings be upon His beloved Messenger, His family and His companions, upon all the awliya and salihin. We beseech Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us and to guide us and give us the daya in every aspect of our lives. And that is why we actually pray in salah in every single rakat, ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, that guidance is what we actually seek, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Read, help and guidance. And indeed, this is something that we cannot do without guidance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like you always hear the Friday sermon, that whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides, no one can misguide, and whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala misguides, no one can guide. And that is very important that we do beseech Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why He Azza wa Jal is teaching us and showing us that we should be beseeching guidance every single moment, every single day, every single aspect of our lives. Because without guidance and without hidayah, we're all doomed to failure and destruction and the ghadab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have guidance no matter what state of affairs our lives might be outwardly, we will always inshallah be successful. And especially more importantly for those people who are actually traveling the spiritual path, that you need guidance in every aspect of your journey. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides you by obviously through showing you a path, by giving you a path in which you can follow, giving you the tools and equipment, giving you a map, even compass, giving you a compass, and giving you a teacher, a guide, and giving one, then also be able to see the sceneries, the scenes, so that you can be fully aware of what the journey entails. And if you do then get lost, you always beseech for guidance again. You can always come back on the path and be on the right path again. In any aspect, but especially when you're actually in a spiritual path, that which way does we should be asking ourselves is that how is our compass of our heart pointed towards? Which way is it pointed towards? Is it pointed towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His pleasure? Is it pointed towards Him, His pleasure, and to His love, to His qurb and to His nearness? Or is our heart pointing towards something else, towards someone else, towards some other things, towards other loves, towards other pleasures, towards other desires? Where is our mind? What is our mind thinking about? What is the conscious thinking about? What is it thinking about? Is it thinking about Allah? Is it thinking about His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Is it thinking about obedience? Is it thinking about disobedience? Is it thinking about ibadat and worship? Is it thinking about how to achieve His pleasure? Or is it thinking about how to be disrespectful, how to be evil, how to be envious, how to actually hurt, how to destruct? Which way is it actually going towards? So the compass of your heart, and this is very important, the compass has got to be right, because if the compass is not undermined, the compass do not, is this going to please my Lord? Is this going to displease my Lord? Is this going to bring me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or is this going to take me further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So now the akal is that, though it's pointing, is moving, but the akal makes it, so if it wavers from the direction it's supposed to go, which you set, if it wavers, the akal should now bring that compass and turn it so that it's actually pointing that right direction. So, for example, you're thinking, okay, this may be okay. Your heart is like, okay, I'm on this path, I'm traversing. The mind is saying, this is just a fun game. That's it. People think, this would be good. People think I'm a righteous man, a pious man. People think I'm other people. My parents will say shabash to me, and they might even give me some pocket money and take me on trips. Or my wife will think, mashallah, He's become the path, but is it taking me to the direction it's supposed to go? Bring it again. The akal should bring it. My intentions, what are they? My thoughts or desires, they make the needle go haywire sometimes. This is what brothers say. Sisters will say, oh, very difficult objects there. There are other things there which is attracting and making the needle go left and right and spin the axis. When you use a compass, haven't you? You've got an orientation zone. And then what happens? The needle goes dead. It's saying that I've had enough here. I don't know which way you want me to go. I can't function anymore until you actually give a little bit of a shake again. Want to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to want to be with the Prophet sallallahu, to actually please Allah, to do good deeds. The thought of those things do not come. They don't want to. It's not pleasing. It's not a good thought to have that. So what happens is that imagine that compass is actually like the needle there is actually now fallen flat dead. Imagine your heart is like that, and what happens is that first and foremost, in order to actually make that come back alive again, you need a little bit of judder, that shake, isn't it? Sometimes you need a little bit of a electrocuting. Heart is actually sound, the tree of the heart is actually sound, that the compass is actually right and correct, and the needle is working, is that the eyes, the fruits of the eyes is that it actually reflects. It's with reflection, it's seen with reflection. Whatever it absorbs, whatever things it sees is reflection. The reflection is the eye reflection, okay? The fruits of the ears is that it's listening to the Quran, the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran is that, listen, that's why I was saying in the class of the day is that we have embarked upon the spiritual, but the strange matter is that we have such a glorious book. Now, and what's happening is that we give very little time, if anything, to let alone understanding or actually even understanding the meaning of the Quran, to even actually even reciting the Quran. One of the most marvelous things, although now people will say, well I do recite Muslims. Good, khair, alhamdulillah, is good. But other than that, do you find time to actually be with the Quran? Do you find time to actually sit with the Quran? Do you find time to actually be in the sohbat of the Quran? Do you find time to actually even enable the nur and the lights and barakat and the blessing of Quran, where even if you used to recite it, there's such a blessing, such a bliss that the heart finds, the mind finds, that it's such enjoyment that once you start reciting it, that it doesn't want to stop. Have you not found it? Even the person who struggles, who judders and stutters and struggles away to recite that, but there's this peace, this tranquility, this enjoyment that a person gets, no matter how hard your heart is, how dead your heart is that once you recite, you can feel the heart softening almost immediately. That's the effect and the beauty of it of reciting the Quran. Now, what's happening is that we will listen to music, we'll listen to nasheeds, we'll listen to songs, we'll listen to other things. Is that okay? Listen to the Quran. But what we can also get an idea is that one of the things that we can understand is listen to Quran, listen to nasiha, what the Quran is telling you, what it wants you to do. The eye is taking in and understanding, trying to reflect and ponder what the Quran is saying. Now listen to the Quran. It's saying that, okay, what the Quran is saying, are you seeing, oh eyes? Are you seeing? Are you understanding that everything the Quran is saying is haqq and truth, and this world will perish? All the desires that you're after, you're going towards, it will perish. So the fruit of the ears is that it listens to the Quran. Not just the recitation that you're listening, but also listen to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His instructions, His advice, His guidance. You listen to that. And the fruit of the tongue, that if you want to actually see what the state of the heart is really, the fruits, the tree of the heart and the fruits of the tongue would be, he alayhi rahmah said to the nearest effect, is that it should be the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That tongue is doing the dhikr, none of the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the praise, the hamd, the durood and salawat. These are all dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is the heart doing dhikr? If you want to see how my heart is, how the state of my heart is, no, just because I put a jubba on, I put a mama on, I've got a beard, I have a turban, I may look very pious. Everybody can be a false tree. We're projecting a false tree, projecting a false tree. It's like a illusion that you say It's just a projection, that's it, but actually the reality is not there sometimes for us. For us, it's just not there. So now what you have to see, the fruits of the tree, one of the fruits of the tongue, it should be what? Dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we say dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that not just if you now were to recite the Quran, you are listening to the Quran, recite the Quran, that's dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You, through the Quran, is asking you to ponder the fruits of the Quran, is for you to reflect on ponder what the Quran is saying. That's the fruits of it as well. And then is the fruits of the hands, the fruits of the feet, and the fruits of the other body limbs, is that is going and always striving to do good deeds. Good deeds. Nekia is that you can see that the hands are not sinning, but they're actually doing and striving towards helping. The feet is not actually going to clubs and pubs or anything like that. It's actually going towards good deeds, helping others, driving to good places, helping the neighbor, helping the brothers, doing the chores, doing the groceries, and so on and so on. Going on Jamaat and so on. So basically is that once you see, if you want to see how good the tree of your heart is look at the fruits of the tree. And if those fruits are non-existent, if they're not there, if you're trying to say to me, if my dhikr is not there, my reflection is not there, my listening is not there, I listen to the Quran or the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in nasiha and guidance, it's not there. You're not going to and listen to it, are you? You're not listening, you're not seeing, you're not actually uttering the praise and the hamd. And if your hands and feet are very seldomly doing any activities as such in trying to actually do good, you're just too busy working, and that work there's also ulterior motives, then know that these are actually non-existent or dried up. If these fruits have actually, if they are non-existent, they're not there, understand is the heart is almost dead and it's actually crumbled. So if the heart dries up, obviously the fruits will perish, is dead. And if it has dried up and the fruits have perished, they've actually died, you can tell that the heart inside is also dead as well. So if these are not emanating from you, if this is not actually coming from within us, from our body limbs, that's a sign that you can say, many people, they say that, brother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at your heart, how your heart is. You've heard this. Many people say that, brother, it's okay, don't worry about it. Listen, I may not have a beard, I'm not actually from the sunnah, it's okay, it doesn't matter. It's about heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at your heart. He looks at your heart and what is in your heart. And alhamdulillah, I'm a Muslim and I love Allah and His Messenger, which is good, we're not denying that. But if you want to know that the heart is actually ill, then look at the organs of the body. Look at the essential organs of the body, and if they're not actually showing what they're supposed to show, then these are the signs that the heart is actually dried up and it's actually dead. That is what, that if the heart is actually in a drought, if your heart is dead, so that's what we're going back to, is that the heart is suffering, is dying. Many people use it, my heart is dead, brother. Not the other, you might have to take it to the hospital to give them a resuscitation, but I'm saying is that the spiritual heart, that is. So don't you all start thinking, Brother Qais said that this is what you have to do. If there's a heart attack, no, take it to the hospital, obviously. So if the heart is suffering and there is a drought and the heart is actually drying up, then what should you do? How to actually now give it that joy? That needle has stopped now. The needle will compass. So how do you now get it moving again? Give it a jud again to actually get it pumping again, or get that needle moving and compass of your heart moving again to work. He alayhi rahmah says is that you profusely, now listen to this, profusely means is that as much as possible, what? Do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As much, what do? We do the opposite. Whenever our nafs takes a downhill slide, they say, brother, it's already hard not just to do my askars. It's very difficult to do even the durood. And now you're saying is that we should do more? What are you going on about? What are you doing? And that is the thing about struggle. Juhud, mujahada. That is the thing. Is that here Allah says that do not be like the sick person who says, I shall not take any medicine until I find a cure. That's it. I'm not going to take any medicine until I find a cure. Whereas we can say that you'll not get cure, shifa, until you start taking the medicine. So take it. This becomes a zariya. So there is no, for example, look, for you now you are suffering. You are, here Allah Rahman is saying is that, Mashayikh is saying is that, do more, do as much, really, if you want to restart the heart to pump it away, is this and is that, profess do the invocation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do dua, do actually plead to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, profess it, do it as much as possible. And you're saying is that, brother, you're asking us to do that, we're struggling to actually even do our azkars. We're just about to do our azkars, let alone that we don't even do our muraqabah, and you're asking us to do more. That's what's called juhud, struggle. And there is no sweetness in that. Does anybody like to do that? Go against the nafs? Is there any sweetness in going against the nafs? There isn't. Nobody likes doing that. The nafs does not like that. What so? There is no sweetness. And here Allah Rahman says, I know that there is no sweetness in struggle. I.e., reality is that you go against the nafs does not like it. You can literally feel it saying, what are you doing? So imagine, for example, imagine there's a type of food that your mom cooks is actually, I'm sure your mom cooks every day, alhamdulillah, or your wife's cooks food, every single one of them wonderful. There may be one particular that you don't like very much. Maybe one dish that you don't like very much. We know what Brother Farm likes very much, isn't it? Give him a donut tray and chips and he'll be over the moon. So that's the dish that, imagine Bagu Farm, he likes this very much. He likes his donut. It's like out of anything, he can have that without even hesitation. For breakfast, for lunch, and for evening meal. There you go. It will be satisfied. That's his like pleasure. Okay, that's the pleasure of food. Then we have salan. Okay, we have salan roti. Now, there's only so much that people can take of the salan. Then maybe, let's say, karelle. There you go. We got that. We got the karelle. We have this. Now, those people who are fan of karelle, we're just doing an example, so don't get a bit upset if I mention this. So we have karelle. It's very bitter. But it's good for, it's very bitter. Now, if your mother cooks, if your wife cooks karelle, you look at her thinking, what is this? Now, to have that karelle is bitter. It's bitter, isn't it? But it's good for you. You're not going to enjoy it. Now, about the doner, unfortunately, it's enjoyable, but it may be bad for you. Excessive eating of the doner, especially. Now, you have the karelle, it's good for you, but it's bitter. It's very long, and you think, oh, what is this? But actually, it's good for you. So what happens is that if you have the doner, it's ease, it's comfort. So whenever you don't feel opposition, your nafs doesn't feel opposition, it's like you're having the doner. It's enjoyable, yes, it's very good. But the nafs wants the doner, but you're forcing it to have the karelle. That going towards the karelle, it struggles. Now to eat the karelle is even more of a struggle. You understand what I'm saying? Is that now it wanted the doner, but first of all, the doner was there, and you're making it eat the karelle. You're making it to go towards the karelle. That's hard. You got the option of the doner kebab there, but you're going for the karelle. It's thinking, no, the doner's there. Why are you making me eat the karelle? Then to actually eat the karelle is even bitter for the nafs. It's like, so what are you doing? Now you're making me eat the karelle as well. But it's good for you. It's good for your body. It's good for it's good for you, for people especially who suffer from diabetes. They have this a lot. It's good for you to get your cholesterol down and so on and so on. I'm no doctrines like that. I'm just saying this is what we've heard. So these things which is bitter is actually good for you. So similarly is that you were saying is that you got the option of actually not doing the dhikr. It's easy. There's no struggle there. Not doing the dhikr. The nafs wants to even go towards that. It doesn't want to do this. It's easy. So now you're saying is, brother, you want me to do the dhikr. For you to even think about doing the dhikr, more of the dhikr is hard. Now if you actually now trying to make it do that dhikr and doing it, it's not easy. It's difficult. It's bitter. It doesn't like, nafs doesn't like it. But you keep at it. You do it. Once you do that, the bitterness will actually go away. There is nothing in it except that what will happen is if you try to make it do more supplications, more dhikr, more invocation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what will happen is that it's as if you're throwing spears at the nafs. Spears and daggers, and it's going, there's no comfort. It's like it's been punctured, it's been actually completed. That's what you're trying to do, because the naf is like an inflated balloon. It's inflating. The more you go with it, the more you actually give into what it wants. It'll actually inflate and inflate and inflate. And every time you actually go against what the nafs wants, you are striking with a spear and you try and deflate it. Now, if you now, what happens is that if you do not puncture it at any moment in your journey, you're going to suffer badly. That's why you find it very difficult for it to actually go down. You need to puncture it. Imagine is that it's like you're trying to grow a plant, a fruit tree in your garden, and what happens is that you've been nurturing it. Initially you looked after it, there's no other excess weeds and like that. If at the beginning and if during it as well, even when it's at the plant tree actually grows, if weed starts growing, if you don't address that weed and you don't pluck it out, eventually that weed will overtake over and do nuksan to that tree. It will compete for food, it will actually do. So similarly is that if you don't address and if you deflate the nafs, then it will be disastrous. So this thing is like putting spears into the nafs and deflating. So struggle against the nafs, this is the greatest struggle. And it's not sweet. It's bitter. It's murr. It's bitter. It's actually not the nafs. And no one likes doing it, but you have to do it in order to progress. So it's only a thing where you know that if you don't deflate it, and if it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, then it will start opposing what Allah and His Messenger wants you to do. It will oppose. And it will fly, but unfortunately it will fly towards the direction of shaitan and the desires of shaitan towards hellfire, unless we actually put a stop to it. So these are like basically is that understand the reality of struggle is bitter. Understand this alamat if you want to see whether the heart is actually sound, is that the alamat that the heart is sound is that you look at the organs of the body. Are they actually function the way it's supposed to function? If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then no, that's a sign that your heart is ill, is dead. Now what we said is that how to actually bring life back to the heart. First of all, you start by precisely doing the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the most important thing, is that once you start that will be the start of actually getting the needle moving again, and then making sure that the compass of your heart actually starts actually going towards the right direction. Then those things which will make this thing spin is that making sure you avoid and remove those things, thoughts, khayalats, actions. Now, sins are those things which actually trigger the needle of the compass of your heart to actually waver. And I'm not talking about the big sins, the minor sins. The minor sins. The minor sins, what will happen is that we think, oh, it's just a small sin, a white lie. There's no whiteness in lie, so basically a white lie, or a small, you think, oh, this is a chote guna, that's it doesn't matter. For example, you just didn't disclose the actual matter to the actual fact when you could have done. So you might have actually hit something, or you might have done something, or played a trick or whatever. I'm just saying, I'm not saying tricks are all bad. I'm just saying is that a minor sin. In the fuqahas of listing what is a major and minor sin. We're not talking about the major, we're talking about the minor sins here. A minor sin, when you're going against when you actually disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a minor sin. But what happens is that we think this is a minor sin. But really, if you think a sin is like a poison, sin is like a poison, and even if one drop actually falls into water, it's still poison. The water is poison, isn't it? It's going to do nuksan to you, and sometimes that one drop is enough to kill you. Right? Obviously, sometimes then the more you add of that poison, it actually increases. Obviously, it's going to have multiple effect. So if sin is equated to like poison, if you think about sins, the trivial sins, that the minor sins we say is like poison, the more and more you start doing it, it's going to kill you. Kill the heart. that is the thing where we are. What happens, the more and more minor sins that we commit, again, the needle of the compass and the needle on the side of the compass, what will happen? It starts going round and round and it'll be flat again. It'll die. The needle's gone damaged, it's gonna go, it'll break again. So, what happened? The most harmful thing that that he Rahman says that the most harmful thing for you is that you consider minor sins to be insignificant, trivial. But if you were to consider this as an enormity, a big thing, and do tawbah, you'll be saved. The moment you realize that you're doing minor sins, you actually repent, you will say. If you don't, and if you underestimate these minor sins and you do not repent, then it will be disaster for you. What did he say? It's like basically, Allah gave an example, is that it's like someone who encounters a lion that Allah SWT saves him from. Imagine there's a person, you were in front of a lion, Allah SWT is saving you from that lion. But is then defeated by 50 wolves. Because you thought, this is a lion. Subhanallah, thank you Allah SWT, you saved me from the lion. Oh, there's one wolf. Yeah, this is wolf, yeah, go away. Oh, there's another wolf, go away. But then all of them start coming together. Remember, a minor sin on its own, you think, oh, it's nothing, it's only a minor sin. Wolves come in pack. That minor sin will lead to another minor sin, that lead to another. And what happens? It builds. And once they gather momentum, it then attacks and then it kills. So then Allah SWT will say to you that, and you consider something, Allah SWT says in the Quran, is that you consider something which is insignificant to be insignificant, though in the sight of Allah SWT it is actually significant, very enormous. Because why? Remember this, always this golden principle, is that yes, the fuqahas in fiqh, in Sharia, is that the fuqahas have stated this is a major sin, this is a minor sin, to make it easy for me and you, a little bit more easier. Reality is, what is the haqiqat of sin? What's the reality of sin? What is it? In other words, what is a sin? Brother, what is a sin? Disobedience of whom? Allah SWT. So it doesn't matter if it's a big or something, it's still disobedience. It's going against the command of Allah SWT, disobeying the command of Allah. And for that is significant. Is that whether it's a big disobedience, it means that you have actually forgone a command of Allah SWT, irrespective, whether it's a big or small, you've disobeyed Allah SWT, gone against the command of Allah SWT. And that is why it's significant. So what happens is that if you keep on persisting the minus, and it becomes a enormity, like as poison is, even it kills in spite of being a small dosage. A minor sin is like that of a sparkle of fire, even that which actually then burns the whole town down. But it started from a sparkle, so it's disastrous. But we don't pay heed to the fact that it is a sparkle. We think, oh, it's just a sparkle, it doesn't matter. But the catalyst of that is actually started from the catalyst of a fire. The catalyst of all these things started from a sparkle, and we did tend to it. Now, so what we're saying is that so we talked about the tree of the heart is there to see if the heart is actually fine. We said, okay, imagine the heart like a compass and we've got needles. Is that we need to make sure the needle is always, no matter what khiyalas and thoughts which makes the needle go left, right and center, is no matter what they are, sins, desires, what they do, they make this the needle or the compass, the point of the needle go left, right and center in circle, sometimes it goes flat. Okay? And what we're saying is we need to remove those things, those obstacles, the metals, the magnetic forces, etc., or the attraction. And magnetic force as well can affect. Why is it that we're saying the magnetic force is like the force of attraction of desires of different things? They can pull towards the needle towards one direction. You need to remove that. Sins, you need to remove that. Those minor sins, you need to remove that. Otherwise, what will happen is that you're on the path. You're there. You say, I am on the course. I am trying to achieve Allah's pleasure. but you're not going anywhere. You feel the sense of confusion. You feel the sense of doubt. That, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be on the path, but I don't feel like it. I don't feel anything. I don't feel as though I'm achieving anything. I'm not going anywhere. It feels empty. It feels hollow. It feels that there's no sense of direction here. I'm not going anywhere. You know, many people say, I'm not getting anywhere. Well, where is your pointer directing towards, pointing towards? Is your compass working? Is it actually going towards somewhere? You need to actually use that so that you can get somewhere. If sins, if desires, if there's other pulls, other attractions there, which is pulling that needle of the compass in different direction, that's why you'll not reach the direction you're supposed to get to. If you start following those temptations, those desires, those sins, it will take you to the wrong direction, eventually take you to hellfire. You need to pull yourself out, cut your ties out, cut the force of different forces, the desires which is there, cut it out so that the heart, the compass of your heart can point in the right direction, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. Now, dead, when the heart is dead, in other words, is that ghafla, heedlessness. When it's in ghafla, it's actually dead. It's in heedlessness. Is that when it becomes like this, when your heart is dead, that is why, for example, when you hear brothers say, oh, I prayed tahajjud. And that is why, for example, there was a time when you used to pray tahajjud. You say, I feel so good. Those people who are often tahajjud, mashallah, is that they'll tell you is that, yes, they may be a little bit difficult in getting about that feeling of waking for tahajjud, reciting early hours, or keeping fast on Mondays and Thursdays, regularly, on a regular basis, doing good deeds, waking up for tahajjud. If you do this, it's a sign that the heart is getting enlightened, is getting peace, and is actually alive. If the heart is not, if you want to know that also, another alama that the heart is dead is that if you're not waking for tahajjud, or you're not even fasting, when you used to. There was a time we used to offer tahajjud regularly, alhamdulillah. Used to keep fast regularly. I used to do other good deeds in Qiyam. But I'm talking particularly about these two elements. Is that you to offer the early prayer, early night prayer, and you used to actually offer fasting on the Mondays and the Thursdays, nafli fast. Even used to fast maybe on the white days or even alternate days. You used to be regularly fasting. Is that if you are deprived of all of this, not able to do tahajjud, not able to recite the Quran, not able to actually do good deeds, not able to actually keep fast, not able to do any dhikr, if you're not able to do this, any of these which I'm talking about, but however, what happens is that you feel laziness or lethargy towards doing any of these things in your limbs of your body, with your hands, your tongue, to recite anything is lazy, to actually go towards the masjid is lazy, to actually go to the gathering is lazy. If you're feeling this, if you feel lethargy in your limbs, and what's happened is that the fact that you're not praying tahajjud, the fact that you're not even praying namaz, the fact that you're not doing your dhikr, the fact that you're not reciting, the fact that you're not doing any good deeds and you don't feel any pain about it, that it doesn't hurt you, that why am I not praying, that why am I not actually fasting, that why am I not doing these good deeds, the fact that you're not feeling the pain of not performing these things or not doing these things, and then on top of that you're feeling lethargy, you're feeling lazy in these essential organs of the body, you're feeling that there's laziness there in the limbs of the organs of the body, that it feels lazy towards going to the masalla, it feels lazy towards going to the masjid, it feels lazy in going to the majlis of dhikr in the city, it feels lazy towards picking up the book, it feels lazy towards picking up the tasbih and doing something, it feels lazy to give charity, it feels lazy, these bodily organs are feeling lazy, and you're not feeling any pain of the fact that, or any discomfort or any sorrow of the fact that you're not performing tahajjud, you're not performing your dhikr, you're not doing your muraqabah, you're not doing your good deeds, you doesn't feel that, know that ghafla has killed your heart. Ghafla, heedlessness, has killed the heart. If you know, for example, look, that's why thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A lot of when you come is that you feel upset, is that you're not doing this. You feel upset, isn't it? It's a sign that the heart is still alive, that is feeling upset. There can come a process, and when many of us is that we're not doing anything, and it doesn't feel the pain. It doesn't. Oh, you're not doing your, for example, prayer. You're not doing your namaz. We don't feel the loss that I'm not doing namaz. We're not. Imagine this is how we become where the great, let alone Sahabas, but I'm talking about the Tabi'ins and Tabi'ins, that Tabi'ins are the one generation after the companions, is that imagine Tabi'in, like this great Tabi'in, Uwais al-Qarni and others and so on, is that these great Tabi'is and Tabi'is, what they do is that some of them we've heard, Hazrat Rabi and others, is that if they were to miss a Jamaat of Fajr one day, and wasn't obviously never intention to miss it, but if they'd actually missed just one Jamaat, as if somebody's actually died in their household. That's how upset they would become. For Fajr, imagine, so they missed one Jamaat for Fajr, as if there's been a photo in the house. In the older days, people actually go and visit that person and doing afsosi. Are you okay? Is everything okay? Is everything alright? We do afsosi when somebody's died, but people go and do afsosi in those times to say that, are you okay? They missed the Jamaat of Fajr. That's how hurt they used to feel. If you feel that hurt, that when you don't sin, that when you're actually not doing any good deeds, if you feel that hurt, it's a sign that your heart is still alive and rejoice and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you don't feel that hurt, if you don't feel that hurt in your heart, when you're not doing these good deeds, when you're not obeying the command, when you're actually disobeying and you don't feel the hurt, when you're not obeying, you don't feel the hurt, when you should be obeying, when you should be praying, when you should be doing your dhikr, and you don't feel the hurt. You don't feel the hurt that, if you don't feel the hurt that the Shaykh has ordered you, your teacher has ordered you to do something, you're not doing it, and you don't feel the regret that I'm not doing it. You don't even feel hurt that you're not even let alone doing it, but you're going against it, and you don't feel the hurt, then know that your heart is dead. Dead. The living person, even if a person is alive, even if a little needle comes and pricks that person, it feels. But if a person is dead, even if to get a knife out and try to start slashing the skin and so on, it will not feel anything. They will not feel anything. That's why one of the examples of the Prophet ﷺ said is that the difference between the person who does dhikr and the person who doesn't do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like the living and dead. But we take dhikr for granted. We just think, oh, it's just a thing that we have to do on the spiritual path. We have to do that. But no, it's a huge significance. Don't take it lightly. It's very, very significant. It's not that the Babas used to do in the mosque and you see them all. It's a very, very, very significant thing that one should do. So when a living person is able to feel the pain, that means, alhamdulillah, if you feel hurt and nuqsan, it means it's also like a trigger point. Your heart is alive and it's still functioning, telling you this is wrong and this is right. When that function goes, the sensitivities of those things goes, you're in danger. Khalas. Therefore, know that your heart is dead. That's why Ilahi said, if it doesn't feel no pain, know that your heart is dead. So what must you do? And this is the thing that we're not doing. On a Mondays or a Thursday, any of the days when there's an opportunity there, is that, listen to this. I'm not saying this is, he's a kutub of the time. Sayyidina Ibn Tawasik and the one of my shaykhs as well, but his kutub of his time, he alayhi rahmah is saying is that, therefore know that your heart is dead. So what should you do? You must sit in the gatherings of nasiha and hikmah, because in it there is a fragrant breeze, nafha from paradise. That's why when he said, what did he say? That the dhikr, the circles of dhikr Allah is like from a garden of paradise, isn't it? You're taking the food, you're eating from the garden of paradise, it's just gathered in there. So what happens is that when you sit and gather in the nasiha and dhikr, is that it's like a fragrant breeze from paradise, which you find on your way in your house and in your room. Have you not seen it? Is that when you are going to any dhikr majlis, is that on the way you're feeling good, there's a there's a there's a radiance, there's a ooze that you feel. When you're sat there, there's a radiance, there's a ooze that you feel, and then when you go home, you're different. Your whole persona is different. Everything is different. When you go home, you feel better. There's energy in your step. You feel as though yes, I can do something. So listen to this. Here, Edison says that on your way, in it, and when you come to your home in your room, that you go to those gatherings, is that if you really want to start and get a journey going again, get the needlework again, get that actually the mujahada starting again and actually striving again, get that going, is that sit in these gatherings of dhikr and nasiha, not only will you feel the effect in the gathering, but on your journeying to and forth the gathering, when you actually go home as well, you feel it there as well. And what is that? He said there's a fragrant breeze from paradise in which you find it on your way, in your house, and your room. Do not miss such a gathering. Don't miss it. Do not miss such a gathering, even if you're in a state of disobedience, even if you're doing you're disobeying. Don't miss such a gathering. Many times what we do is that, oh, I've done so much, I don't want to know. Even in that state where actually disobeying us, and do not ask about the point of attending the guy. What's the point? You know, people say, but I'm not even doing the dhikr. I'm not even taking my sheet. I'm not actually even doing anything whatsoever. You know, I don't go to any jamaats. What's the point? What's the point of me coming to the gathering? Here, it's like he said, do not miss the gathering. Do not even say, what's the point of attending such a gathering? Do not even actually say, what's the point of attending such a gathering whilst being in state of disobedience, which you're unable to forsake. Rather, what you're supposed to do is the archer, you know, here we go, archer. The archer, what happened? What does it do? The archer gets his bow and he's getting arrows ready. The archer shoots. The archer shoots. And if he does not hit the target today, he'll do so tomorrow. In other words, one day you'll get to hit the target and get your target, the aim, whatever it is. If you keep on shooting, but if you don't shoot, you'll never hit. So every time you're getting up and striving is like a shot. You're giving a shot, giving it a go. If you imagine is that, okay, there's unlimited, you could say, unlimited amount of tries you can have. Why do you think, oh, this is just, I've only got one arrow that I can only shoot once and that's it? No. You've got unlimited opportunities to shoot. One of them will hit the target. Keep on shooting. Keep on hitting it. Keep on striving. Keep on doing. Again and again. Because the more likelihood is that one day you'll hit that target and you'll actually reach your destination. Your aim and your goals. But if you never shoot or you give up shooting, you're never going to reach and never going to hit the target. That is what you're supposed to do. How are you going to make that heart alive? I've said it again and again, but this is again from another point of view. What the Mashayikh is saying is that that's why these gatherings of dhikr and nasiha are very important. Irrespective of who's actually saying it, who sat there, attend it. Because at least you can take bliss from sitting in such a gathering, occupying it. The Mashayikh, some of the Mashayikh may be there, the barakah and the fuzat is there. From that can rejuvenate your heart, that can rejuvenate yourself, it can give you a spring in your step. As you come to the gatherings, and when you go back to your homes, and when you go back to your houses, there's a spring in your step, there's a new relief in you, there's a new resolve in you. And you just to kick out the journey again. But what happens is that when we fail, and we don't do, that is when we suffer. Especially when the Mashayikhs are actually here. Especially when our teacher is here, is that more importantly that one should definitely endeavor to actually sit and actually come to those gatherings, okay? So mashallah, we'll stop here inshallah. So to summarize is that we talked about alamat, the sign of a heart, and we gave analogy of a tree as well as a compass, and we need to make sure that the heart and the mind, they actually work together to actually, the heart is like a compass and the needle is like the mind, and basically is that the akal should make that needle the heart to make it point in the direction which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. Sometimes temptation will come, desires will come, sins will fall upon it. To make the needle of the heart to go in left, right, and center, keep on spinning on the axis, or sometimes it can even die. The needle can stop working. You can die. How we can actually rejuvenate that, how we can get that function again, how we can remove the obstacles so that it keeps on showing in the direction so that we can receive guidance and hidayah, so we can achieve Allah's rida and Jannah in this life as well as the akhirah. That is what we have to do. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. If you'd like to ask maybe one or two questions, otherwise then inshallah we'll stop and we'll get ready for Salat al-Fajr. कोई सवाल है? चलो ठीक है, inshallah stop. Jazakallah khair, thank you for attending.